Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Liquid FX YouTube channel. Here we have a weekly Forex outlook of euro dollar and pound dollar. Just before we start the video, I just want to say that at Liquid FX we're offering 30% off. So if you use if you use the code Easter sale, if I write that over here, so if you use the code Easter sale, you will be entitled to, sorry, that's one word, right? Easter sale. So if I could spell that. Easter sale will give you 30% off the community, so that's free one-to-one sessions once a week with myself, as well as a full Discord and simplified ICT PDF course. So for those who are interested, this is the link to the 30% off the Liquid FX private community mentorship. So with that out of the way, let's have a look at the euro dollar time frame here on the weekly. This is a weekly euro dollar time frame chart. So again, what we have over here is we have two interesting points to look at now, right? So what we had over here is we had our week high forming just over here. So we had a week high up here, and we had price give us a week low now down here. So we have a week high and a week low to look at. So we have a week high and a week low, right? So what makes both of these structures weak is the fact that neither one of them has committed to make a new low, because the low is all the way down here. So we haven't actually made a new low from this region over here. But at the same time, this low has really failed to make a new high, and we've seen price tumble down. So from here, we have two weak structures that we're currently looking at on the weekly time frame. Now, of course, we have a liquidity pool above us, and we have a fair value gap here on the weekly time frame as well. So we have price could just reach higher and get to this weekly zone over here. But at the same time, we have a fair value gap beneath us just over here on the weekly time frame. So price is well within its rights to actually just continue lower down to this region, as we have a fair value gap just over here. We have an inefficiency in price just over here. So this is our fair value gap over here. So with this being said, we have two potential scenarios on the cards. So now if we go down to the daily time frame, we can begin to dissect more carefully how I'm looking at the euro dollar. So here on the euro dollar, just to begin, we have price giving us bearish activity. So we had a break of structure to the downside over here. So this is the break of structure over here. Now, since then, with the most recent price action, we need to understand that we are hovering near the equilibrium level. So what we have over here, this line over here, represents our equilibrium, or the 50% level. Now from here, we need to understand that price has made a weak high up here. So this is our current weak high and a drawn liquidity, right? So I labeled this in one of my previous videos, a drawn liquidity, or a DOL. And a simple reason for giving this a DOL was simply because it hasn't at this point continued down and made a new low, right? Because the low is all the way down here, right? So we haven't seen price commit and make the new low, right? So as it stands, this is a weak high. But what's also worth considering, and what's also valid to now consider at this point, is that we also have a weak low over here. Now, this is a weak low as well. So this is also a DOL, or a draw of liquidity, a drawn liquidity of the daily time frame. This is a daily time frame DOL. And so the reason for that is because this this particular low over here hasn't actually made a new high. We've attempted to, and since then we've seen bearish momentum. So right now from here, it's important to establish and understand two things. We have a drawn liquidity over here, so we have a sell side liquidity pool over here. So this here is a weak low. And this weak low over here represents a pool of liquidity. This is very important to understand, right? A weak low is something that doesn't produce a new high, because remember the high is still all the way up here, right? So we see a weak low that hasn't produced a new high. And so because of that, it's a potential area to target. And what makes it a higher probability is the fact that we have a fair value gap just over here, right? And this fair value gap forms in deep discount, right? So we have a deep discount. We have a deep discount POI slash fair value gap, right? A daily fair value gap. So we have reason for lower prices as well, right? And at the moment going into this week, I am favoring lower prices. And the reason for that is because we have a draw of liquidity over here, and we have a daily inefficiency, or a daily fair value gap, just over here in this region. So this here is what makes lower prices more probable at this point. If we were to go down to the 4-hour time frame, our last time frame of interest, what we have over here is something we're at an interesting zone for the euro dollar, right? Because we need to understand that our structure consists of this high down to this low over here. So how am I currently looking at the 4-hour euro dollar structure? Well, let's see, we're currently in a discount, right? We're currently in a discount and we're tapping off a POI over here. So we have a H4 POI and we're in the discount. And so because of that, we should be favoring buys. And what also favors buys in the long term is that we also have this trend line liquidity that's been forming over here, right? So we have trend line liquidity, otherwise known as buy side liquidity, right? And this is in the premium, right? To make things more probable for the upside is that we also have a fair value gap just over here in this region. We have an FVG or a fair value gap up here. These are the reasons that price could seek higher. The market could seek higher prices because of these reasons I've identified, right? We're in a discount, we're tapping off a fair value gap or a POI. We have liquidity to target and fair value gaps in the premium, right? So this is the potential scenario to go long, right? But this is where the outlooks come into play, right? We have that daily drawn liquidity, which I want to mention to people down here. And so because of that, if this POI does break, right? If this breaks, then I expect price to get down to this price point over here. If this breaks over here, this is important to understand. If this breaks, right? So if we trade below the price point of 1.076, I do expect price to get down to 1.691, right? 1.69, that is, right? 1.69, 1.68, round about this level, right? So this is my outlooks on the euro dollar going into next week. Now the pound dollar is paints a very similar picture. So if we start on the weekly time frame, we have the weekly time frame that's projecting a week high just above us. So we have that DOL, the weekly DOL, right? So we understand that this high over here hasn't actually produced a new low, right? This high is tried to push down and the market has since then been pushing up like this. So this here becomes a weak high over here. So now we have to ask ourselves, are we likely to seek higher prices and get up to this weak high? We also have a fair value gap over here as well, right? So this is a fair value gap that price leaves. And from here, we understand that price could do something like this, or we could see price get closer into the discount before seeking higher prices. This is my overall outlooks on GBP USD. If we notch down a time frame to the daily time frame, again, an interesting point for GBP USD. What we have over here is we have bullish structure over here. So I want to just bring your account. I just want to bring people to your attention. I want to bring to people's attention, sorry, the overall bullish nature and bullish structure of the market. So what we have over here is we have price producing a low, high, low, and a high. So now we're at a region where we've reacted off a discounted POI just over here. Prices then shot up higher as we'd expect. So from here, we're currently in a daily premium, right? So we're currently above the 50% level and we're in what we call a daily premium. Now, when we're in a daily premium, there's two things that can happen. We could either seek lower prices down to this inefficiency over here before tapping higher, or in line with the weekly expansion, we could just continue higher, seeking the fair value gap and weak high up here, right? So these are the two potential scenarios that we have currently on GBP USD. So the 4-hour time frame is a little bit less decisive. If I go down to the 4-hour time frame now, we can begin to see how indecisive it actually is. So what we have over here, if I just clear up the charts, right? What we have over here is we have price that has broken structure to the upside. Finally, after quite a rangy start to the year, January, February, we saw price really break structure to the upside. So now we are currently sitting in what we call a discounted region. So we have a H4 discount over here. Important to understand, we have a H4 discount or a 4-hour discount, but we are rangy. We're quite rangy from here, right? So my overall outlooks on GBP USD are as such. Here we have our weak low over here. Or sorry, we have a low over here, strong low over here, right? So we have our low, H4 low. We have a range over here in price. This is a range. Now, if we see price break below this point over here, so if we see price break below this H4 low, then price could go and seek lower down to this sort of region over here, right? But if the low remains intact, as we are in a H4 discount, we have tons of liquidity over here to target. So first we have equal highs over here. We have equal highs that are forming over here. We also have a trend line that forms simultaneously to that, and we have a ton of fair value gap over here from the week before that we could target. So we do have reason for higher prices, and we're currently priced correctly in the discount to see those higher prices from discount all the way up to premium, sweeping liquidity and filling the fair value gaps before heading higher and higher, right? So again, we're slightly less decisive on GBP USD simply because we have this not so nice range that we're currently dealing with, sorry, which isn't the easiest to trade. But I will update you during the week as to where I think this market is going to go. But using these outlooks, I hope it informed you as to where we think we can be going for the next week. So if you like this video, give it a like and thumbs up. Remember, we are offering a discount, right? 30% off using the code Easter Sale. So for those who made it to this far into the video, we're offering 30% off at Liquid FX. So that's going to be Easter Sale. Using the discount code, you can get 30% off your membership for the next month. So if you're interested, give that a shot.